There's a disturbing spike in deaths of infants from preventable sleep-related accidents. That information coming from Hennepin County Medical Center, and oftentimes the cause of those deaths is suffocation.
Yeah, it's a devastating circumstance an Anoka County couple is grappling with after a deadly mistake in the home of a trusted daycare provider. As Paul Blume tells us, the grieving family wants a renewed focus on safe sleep practices for babies.
And this is the nursery that basically hasn't been touched, huh?
Hasn't been touched, but it's gained a lot of love, actually.
Girlie Lincoln promises she will never ever let go of her baby, Phoenix.
At 3 months, she was discovering her hands.
But for more than a year, there have been no more firsts, no more giggles, no more mommy-daughter cuddles. Only silence and loneliness.
Her urn is there.
And truthfully, that makes each and every day a struggle.
Every morning I come over here, touch Phoenix's blanket, and just pretty much, I guess, say hello.
You still feel her?
Oh yeah, oh yeah.
You're only 7 hours old. What are you looking at?
In so many ways, Phoenix was a miracle for Girlie and husband Corey.
It was so cute to watch. So cute.
There was a miscarriage, and the couple battled infertility issues for years before a healthy Phoenix Jade Lincoln
Hi, Phoenix. Hi.
arrived on November 6th, 2017.
How do you explain it as a mom that, you know, that baby is finally placed on your chest and she's here, you know, and we're finally parents.
And when it was time for Girlie to return to work, the couple, upon a colleague's recommendation, hired Janelle Dickinson to care for Phoenix during the day. Dickinson was a stay-at-home grandma who looked after her own grandchildren and others here in her Coon Rapids house.
We had a stomach feeling. We were just like, we like her. Her home seems clean from where we were. We were just, when we walked in, we were in the living room. And I trust my coworker as well.
Everything seemed fine those first weeks at the Dickinson home until the Lincolns got the life-changing call that Phoenix didn't wake up from her late morning nap and wasn't breathing. Girlie and Corey raced to the hospital.
He said that, I don't know what to do. What do I do? I don't know what to do. What do I do? And I just didn't know what to tell him because I didn't know what to do either.
Tragically, Phoenix never regained consciousness. She was taken off life support a day later.
I didn't want it to be like some sort of countdown to when my kid was gonna die. So I just said, just stop. Just don't do that. Just let me hold her.
Soon after, their emotions shifted from pure sadness to anger when an Anoka County investigation found Dickinson was negligent with how she laid Phoenix down to nap. Police photos show the pack and play where the 3-month-old slept that day. According to heavily redacted county and police investigative reports, Dickinson told authorities she placed the infant on her tummy with 2 full-size pillows and covered her up to her shoulders with a blanket. She further explained she, quote, always lays babies on their stomach because they are more content, and acknowledged she had not completed any related trainings. The county writes Dickinson had not been licensed for daycare since 1996 and was caring for 13 children at the time, including 11 under the age of 3. Because we don't know Dickinson's exact relationship to all of the children, Fox 9 cannot determine if she violated state licensing guidelines. The medical examiner found Phoenix died from positional asphyxia. The manner of death ruled an accident. The baby found prone in a playpen with, quote, excessive bedding.
Your baby suffocated.
Yeah.
She couldn't get oxygen.
Right.
Do you believe Janelle killed your baby?
I do believe that.
A grand jury indicted Janelle Dickinson on 2 counts of second-degree manslaughter, and she eventually pleaded guilty to one of those charges involving negligence and child endangerment. Prosecutors and the Lincolns asked for a year of jail time as part of a plea agreement to avoid trial, but a judge eventually settled on 6 months electronic home monitoring and 10 years probation.
I don't get to see her cry anymore. I don't get holidays with her. I don't get to spend birthdays with her, graduation, wedding, whatever. And she gets to stay home and have her grandkids sleep over, spend holidays with her family, and have all of the conveniences of home. How is that fair? It's not.
Gurley and her husband were outraged by what they believe was a lenient sentence for a caregiver who they trusted to follow the safest baby sleeping practices.
It frustrates me because I thought running a daycare, you would know these things. You're an established daycare. I'm the new parent. I'm the one that has to research these things because I don't know. I'm the new parent.
Babies should always sleep on their back, not on their side and not on their tummy.
Jeanette Flynn, pediatric unit clinical care supervisor at HCMC, staged these examples with a doll to show what caregivers should do. That's a baby, swaddled, on its back, with nothing at all on the sleep surface. No blankets, no pillows, nothing.
Completely empty. The only thing that should be in the crib or the pack and play or the bassinet is the baby.
And then what they shouldn't do. That's a cluttered space that might include stuffed animals and a spare diaper.
Really, none of these things should be here. These are all a risk factor for the baby to suffocate.
Sadly, Flynn reports a recent uptick in deaths and serious injury from apparent unsafe baby sleep incidents. 5 such cases in just the last 6 months.
They don't know that they need to turn their head to be able to breathe. They don't have that ability to know that, and they also may not have the muscle strength to actually make that movement. So they can get themselves into a situation that they can't get out of.
Earlier this year, Hennepin Healthcare was certified as a, quote, safe sleep champion, the first Minnesota hospital to earn the title, with emphasis on prenatal and post-birth education and prevention to make sure all babies reach their first birthdays. It is a goal now shared by the Lincolns, who are trying to focus all their anger, their frustration, pain, and heartbreak on making sure other parents don't have to convert their nurseries into a memorial.
The judge in this case barred Janelle Dickinson from providing childcare in the future. He also, at the request of Phoenix's parents, ordered Dickinson to speak about her experience and the importance of safe sleep practices to Anoka County caregivers going through the licensing process. Dickinson and her attorney did not respond to multiple requests for comment about the death of baby Phoenix. Paul Blume, Fox 9.
It's been nearly a month since 13-year-old Jamie Kloss went missing from her home in Barron, Wisconsin. Massive searches and thousands of tips turning up empty. Thanks for joining us tonight. In a story you'll only see on Fox 9, we're hearing from Jamie Kloss's family.
Her aunts and uncle open up about the past 4 weeks and the family birthday party just hours before Jamie disappeared and her parents were murdered. Paul Blume is live in Barron tonight, and Paul, this family has had a lot to deal with.
Kelsey, this is a tight-knit Wisconsin family leaning on one another right now, literally, just to make it through each and every day. And through it all, they refuse to give up the faith, the hope that Jamie is out there somewhere. Do you guys have your own suspicions?
Our mind goes 24/7.
Try to,
Every single thing. You have a constant headache. You can't. It's been everywhere. It's been everywhere.
Jamie Kloss's loved ones compared to sleepwalking, a constant daze since their world was flipped on its head 4 weeks ago.
If you're just dealing with anger, that's one thing to deal with. But when you're dealing with fear, sadness, anger, so many emotions that hit you all at once, all you do is you feel numb and you just don't know where to go.
Steve Nyberg is Jamie's uncle, Denise Kloss, his sister. It was a month ago, October 15th, when Denise and her husband James Kloss were shot to death inside their Barron home along Highway 8. But by the time authorities got to the house, after a confusing and chaotic 911 call from Denise's cell phone, Jamie was gone, as was the apparent murder weapon. An Amber Alert remains active for the 13-year-old, who her aunts, uncle, and grandpa remain convinced is out there, alive somewhere. Her dog Molly
waiting for her. For someone who might come across her, is there something that would stick out? Is there a laugh? Is there a crazy word she likes to say?
She always had a soft giggle.
Just her little soft giggles, yeah. Don't forget that little dimple on her chin.
And her dimple on her chin.
How is your family holding up?
We just want Jamie home. We want to know why all this happened, and just wish we had some answers, and hoping for some, or hoping for that miracle of Jamie coming home.
I asked Jamie's loved ones about the day leading up to the shocking crime. There was a family birthday party at the home of Jamie's aunt, Jennifer Smith, on the other end of small-town Barron. Jamie and Denise were there. Jamie a little quiet, which we are told was pretty normal. Mom and daughter both headed home together at about 4 in the afternoon. The tragedy unfolding less than 10 hours later.
I'll never forget when we left, because my husband and I left the same time as my dad and Denise and Jamie. She was, as we were pulling out, that's my last picture, and that's how I'm going to keep it. Denise was at her car door, waving like this, her big old smile.
The family reports Denise had even followed up with Sunday evening phone calls with them. Again, all seemed normal. They believe the attack was targeted and planned, and recently returned to the Kloss house in search for answers of their own.
It brought up more questions for us. It did brought up more questions. It was hard, really hard.
And Susie Allard and the others tell me while the community's support in Barron has been overwhelming, the rumors connected to this case on social media really hurt. One they dismiss angrily is this idea Jamie had some secret older boyfriend. On Monday, a request for the world to keep its eye on the ball and focus on bringing their teenage niece and granddaughter home safely.
There has to be something out there. Someone has that one bit of information that they need to come forward with. There has to be.
And the family went on to tell me they actually videotaped Jamie's parents' recent funeral in the hopes of one day showing it to Jamie to bring the young child some closure. I did have a chance to speak to the Barron County Sheriff on Monday. He reports basically nothing new in the case. Investigators still tracking down leads. But again, they need that one tip out there to bring Jamie home. We're live in Barron, Wisconsin tonight. Paul Blume, Fox 9.
All right, Paul. Down with one of those victims who blames police for not doing more to stop a potential child predator.
Not something that I'd wish on my worst enemy even.
Troy Cole remembers every second of that bike ride home.
The only thing he said was, if you don't be quiet, I'll kill you.
November 30th, 1986.
This was a life and death situation.
Yeah. I pretty much thought I was going to die that night.
It was a Sunday, a school night. Troy was just 13, and he had to make curfew after hanging out with friends at a downtown Painesville pizza joint. He was a block from his family's house on Stearns Avenue when he was grabbed from behind, ripped off his bike, and dragged into some nearby pine trees.
I was petrified, terrified.
Troy never saw his attacker that night, but he recalls the guy had a knife, he threatened to kill, and he grabbed the frightened teen's private parts. The last thing the man did was cut off a clump of Troy's hair, took the boy's stocking cap, and disappeared.
He told me to lay there in the trees for 10 minutes, otherwise he was going to come back and kill me. So I don't even know how long I laid there. I mean, you know, 10 minutes, that's an eternity.
Troy and his dad reported the assault to the Painesville Police Department. It would be one of at least 8 similar incidents around these small cities downtown between 1986 and 1988. Troy explained that he and the other victims were in a small circle of friends and felt they were being stalked or watched. All of the attacks seemed to involve the same suspect description: short, heavy-set man, a raspy voice, face obscured, hiding in darkness before pouncing. Federal authorities recently detailed the assaults in a search warrant application connected to Danny Heinrich. The question, was Heinrich the person of interest now identified in Jacob Wetterling's gunpoint abduction, in essence getting more and more brazen in his hometown? These documents reference Heinrich's close resemblance to the suspect descriptions, the fact that his then apartment sat right in the heart of what's now known as the Painesville Assault Cluster, and that modern DNA recently linked Heinrich to a brutal kidnapping and attempted rape of a young boy nearby Cold Spring during this very same time period.
There's too many questions unanswered that should have been answered 29 years ago.
Court documents show that the then Painesville police chief actually suspected Heinrich in the unsolved attacks in his community. Troy recalls knowing Heinrich back in the 80s, describing him as a bit of an odd guy who hung around downtown, always wearing camouflage and a baseball cap. The now 42-year-old dad admits he isn't sure that it was Heinrich who attacked him. He recalls the suspect kind of disguising his voice, making it, quote, more staticky to shield his true identity.
Something that sticks in your head you never forget.
In one sense, Troy explained that he never wants to know who exactly caused him so much pain over the years. He remains frustrated that his community appeared to minimize the significance of the assaults when they were first reported, remembering people mockingly dubbing the attacker Chester the Molester. And with the Wetterlings still so desperate for answers a quarter century later, Troy wonders why police didn't do more to crack the Painesville cluster in time to possibly thwart a monster.
My whole name is Jacob Irvin Wetterling.
They could have probably prevented it from happening. They wear a badge that says to protect and serve. Why didn't they? They didn't do anything. Nothing. I'm just so frustrated.
Part of Troy's frustration is through all these years, he claims the only time he spoke to an officer or a detective was the night of that assault. He says, in fact, officers never even went to the scene of his attack. I did track down the former Painesville police chief at the time for comment. He told me he just doesn't remember either the time period or the names involved. Reporting from the newsroom, Paul Blume, Fox 9.